And it only seems like Putin that it was Putin who so cleverly and skillfully cut off all social mobility for Russian riffraff, leaving them only the path to the special military operation, the only way to make money, to assert themselves, and, in the worst sense of the word, to make something of themselves, to find at least some place in life, even if only a temporary one. And indeed, while the intelligentsia on all those echo of Moscow type stations were fluffing up their indignant curls, Putin was deliberately impoverishing, degrading, and stupefying the millions of commoners who inhabit the provinces and colonies. Now it's clear that this impoverishment and stupefaction were not the result of Russian carelessness, apathy, or the legacy of the Soviet era. It was a deliberate state policy because, in reality, turning the masses into cattle is hard work that requires coordinated efforts from the government, the administration, local authorities, and party members. And this dehumanization was necessary so that in that very year X, millions would rush into the only window of opportunity, the military window. In hindsight, of course, it must be noted just how impressive and serious this work was, and undoubtedly how intentional it was. Huge Kremlin teams were carrying out this project called the Herd. Moreover, probably like at a closed factory, each person was making their own part without understanding what it would be connected to or what it would ultimately be a part of. This included the implementation of financial and pro-legal mechanisms, as well as the gradual indoctrination of the masses with the ideals of the Russian world, victory mania, orthodoxy, and patriotism. Now everything is clear. And by the way, orthodoxy and victory mania may seem like primitive social drugs, a simple way to manipulate people, but we can see that both have worked brilliantly. And while the enlightened and progressive part of society was busily engaged with its democratic games, actively promoting smart voting initiatives, and meticulously counting aquadiscos, Vladimir Putin was diligently doing his job as always. And all those magnificent aquadiscos, yes, they were indeed brought to light by very romantic, incredibly brave, and truly worthy people, but none of them ultimately worked. They didn't work at all, despite the best efforts, because all these romantic people did it without taking into account an understanding of Russia as a phenomenon. In Russia, where palaces and gold-plated toilets are not proof of not insignificance or vulgarity, but proof of intelligence, capability, and the right to rule. In Russia, aquadiscos are not compromising material. And underestimating the toxicity of what the Kremlin calls spiritual bonds, has of course allowed these poisons to stupefy millions. Let me just modestly remind you, eyes downcast, that the only one who actually fought against these spiritual bonds, the only person, was me. And I won't say that I lacked support. I'm used to being alone. But nevertheless, this blindness of the enlightened part of society is astonishing. Still, all of this, the author of all this is not Putin. This is a copy taken from the experience of many despotisms, including the Iranian despotism. And in Iran, I have to say, all of this is set up even more strictly. And breaking it, they will be much harder. In Russia, breaking it will be a bit easier.